Hi friends, it's me, Kate. I hope that you can hear me okay. It's a little bit windy today, so there's going to be a lot of rustling happening. But I wanted to get on my mat, film outside. Surprise, I have already filmed this class before, and then I deleted it before I transferred it anywhere. So we're having a redo today, so I'm going to try and remember everything. It was really great the first time I filmed it, so we'll see where it takes us today. I am planning a balance-focused class, so standing balances. It is about 75 degrees, 76 degrees out right now. It is supposed to get up to 87. So I'm glad that I'm filming now. Unfortunately, it also, because it's morning, means the sun is right on my mat, which is good visuals for you, but roasty toasty for me. Not complaining. I'd rather be roasty toasty than freezing, so very happy with that. But this is going to play into my pit of nature today. So, last time I taught this, it was fairly vigorous. We did lots of vinyasas, and I used 2 blocks and a strap. So, if you have props like that handy, I would advise getting a hold of them now. For a strap, remember you can always use something like a robe tie or a sweatshirt if you just hold on to the arms, anything like that. So, without further ado, the longer I talk, the hotter it's going to get, so I want to get started. That's it. I'm probably going to wear my sunglasses to class today, just because the sun is out and it's kind of giving me a little bit of blindness, so I'll put those on. But I wanted you to see my lovely face, just so you know, it is me. I am happy. I made an effort, and we're going to get started. So, as always, we're going to start with seated meditation. So, feel free to pick seated, standing, in a chair, laying down, whatever floats your boat today, and find something that's comfortable for you in which you can sit and focus on your breath for a few moments. So for me, I like to sit down and then recross my legs, because we all have habits. So this is a little bit more uncomfortable this way, but it helps my body start to open up in preparation for class. So we'll take a few breaths here. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Of course, because I'm filming outside, there might be some extra noises. I'm going to try my best to edit them out, but if you hear something, just know that's the way life goes sometimes. Notice how your breath is moving this morning. And if you happen to be in an area like me, where there's lots of movement in the air around you, maybe your meditation is paying attention to the sensation of the air as it moves across your skin. Noticing subtle air currents, how it interacts with the skin, the hair on your body. How it feels across your face. And if the air is still, there is still some movement. with your inhale and your exhale. So noticing current across the top of your upper lip. Or if you have your mouth open, how the temperature changes on the borders of the lips. Continuing to soften where you can soften. Deepening the breath where you can. Inhale, you can feel the breath begin to deepen, starting to find small movements in fingers and toes and working your way up to seated if you happen to be laying down. So from here, we'll interlace the fingers above our head, turn the palms face up, give ourselves a stretch. And then we're going to come directly up to standing. We're going to work through some sun salutations. So make sure you drink some water, because sun salutations with their ups and downs, they can make you a little lightheaded if you don't have enough volume in your circulatory system, if you don't have enough water in you. So I always like to drink water before I start class and maybe a little bit at the beginning, just to make sure I have enough volume to carry me through. All right, so we're going to step up to the top of our mat, big toes touching, heels slightly apart if that's comfortable for you. And we're going to want to pay attention to the distribution of weight in our feet all through class today. So just as we start out by standing, notice where the weight is in your feet. So is it in I like to think of metatarsals here, this part of the foot, right across the knuckles at the base of the actual foot itself, more than the toes. The toes are there, we want to keep them down on the floor, but it's really important to keep this nice base down. In addition, we want to make sure we're putting some weight down into the heel as well, and we're balanced between the two. So we're not leaning too far forward and all of our weight is in our toes, we're not leaning too far back and our toes are really light. So we want to keep that even pressure through all of our poses as much as possible today. Bending the knees, hands to heart center. Take a big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up over the heart. And then exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, hands down, step back, and move through vinyasa. There are lots of options for vinyasa. So you can always do traditional, which is plank to chaturanga dandasana. Inhaling up to upward facing dog. And then exhaling back to downward facing dog, or under any other variation that you like. Now, especially because it's hot today for me, I'll probably be doing less vigorous vinyasas, but if it's cool where you are, I recommend doing the warming ones. So the most that you can do. Then at the bottom of the exhale, stepping the feet back up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Long spine, pubic bone reaching back behind you. Exhale, forward folding. And from here, bending the knees, inhale, coming all the way up, hands above the heart one more time. And then exhale, Samasthiti. 2 more of those. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, they come all the way down. Watch the weight in your feet. Inhale, half lift. How does it shift? Exhale, hands down, step back with the opposite foot, and move your way through vinyasa, whatever that happens to look like. You can always come down to the knees and leave them down the whole time, so less effort there. Or do cat extended cat stretches. It's another nice variation. Big inhale all the way in. Big exhale all the way out. Then stepping the feet up in between the hands. Inhaling, half lifting. Exhaling, forward folding. And then from here, bending the knees, inhaling, coming all the way up. And exhale, Samasthiti. 1 more, big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, half lift, tuck the chin. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa. And at the bottom of the exhale, stepping up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding. And then bending the knees, inhaling, coming all the way up. Hands above the heart. And exhale, Samasthiti. Alright, so now we're going to switch to C series, which includes a back bend and takes out the half lift. Goodness gracious. So from here, big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up overhead. Now, watching the weight distribution in your feet, we're going to press the hands together, lift just the top of the chest up towards the sky, maybe backwards, but only after we grow as tall as possible. And then inhale, come up, and exhale, come forwards. Remember, no half lift here. So pick up the right foot, step it back, release the right knee, top of the right foot. So here we are in our low lunge. You can start to feel this hip flexor open up, I'm sure. Mine's pretty tight because I'm teaching first thing in the morning here. So if you want to increase your back bend, you're not feeling enough across your quad, across the hip flexor, you can bring the hands up to your knee. Now, the trick is we want to keep both hips parallel to the short edge of the mat, and we want to keep just the top edge of our thigh getting stretched here. So we're not turning our thigh in or out in order to accommodate the stretch. Lift the chest as much as you can. And then we'll exhale, bring the hands down, tuck under the back toes, lift the back knee, pick up the front foot, step it back, and here we are, knees, chest, and chin coming all the way down, Ashtanga Pranam, 8-point stick. And then release all the way down onto your mat, hug the elbows in, inhale, lift through the heart center for Cobra. And then exhale, transition through tabletop, tuck under the toes, lift up for downward facing dog. Big inhale, big exhale. This time right foot comes forward in between the hands, releasing the left leg, top of the left foot. And here we are, coming into our low lunge. So you can keep the hands low, you can use blocks underneath them, You can bring them up onto your knee. We're just trying to find the space that we need in order to find a good stretch. And you might have a big difference between sides. So recently, my hips are super asymmetrical. They're always asymmetrical, but recently they feel really off. So just finding a stretch where it's appropriate for you. And we'll release the hands down, tuck under the toes, rock the weight back just enough so you can step up in between the hands, come into your soft forward fold, tuck the chin, long back of the neck. Then from here, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up, hands above the heart, and then lift for a small standing back, watch the feet, and then exhale, Samasthiti. We'll do one more of those. Big inhale here, exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up, lift the chest, small standing back there. And exhale, come all the way down into your own lap. So now this time we're taking the left foot, reaching it back, releasing the left knee, top of the left foot, coming up for our low lunge. Now, if you had your hands down last time, maybe explore bringing them up onto your knee this time. If you have your hands on your knee this time, you can experiment with some balance. So we have horizontal distance between our feet. We're going to tuck under the back toes, lift the back knee back up, and then come up for high crescent lunge. So we want both sets of toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat. And once we're here, press the hands together, lift up. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. Goodness gracious. And then bring the hands down, step back, and then knees, chest, and chin come all the way down. 8-point stick, Ashtanga Pranam. Roll all the way down. Inhale, lift through the chest. Cobra. Exhale, press back. Lift up. Downward facing dog. Now this time, left foot comes forward in between the hands. Release the right knee, top of the right foot. We're going to inhale, come up. So here we are in our low lunge again. You can choose to put your hands down, put them on your knee, or investigate some balance. So checking under the back toes, lifting the back knee, making sure you have enough horizontal space, and the back toes pointing directly forward. Hips parallel to the short edge of the mat, so we're not opening them up. Back heel is off the mat, front knee coming forwards but not falling in. Pressing the hands together, lifting up. Release all the way down, rock the weight just enough, step up in between the hands, soft forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up, hands nice and high, lift through the chest, and then knees back to our standing pose. So now we're going to switch to B series. You might want to have a block handy. So, B series. We're going to take a big inhale here. Exhale, bring the fingertips down to your mat. Bend your knees deeply. Tuck in your tummy. So bring your navel in towards your spine. Drop your tailbone. So keeping the legs where they are, we're going to press the hands together. Inhale. Lift them up for a fierce pose or Utkatasana. And then exhale, dive over to come back to your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa. Whatever that happens to be, remember you can make adjustments through class. It doesn't always have to be the same. Now, from our downward facing dog, we're going to turn our left leg out, bring the right foot up behind the right hand. So toes on the left are pointing out slightly, toes on the right pointing directly forwards. And as you come up, your hips should be parallel to the short edge of the mat. If they're not, back foot needs to step forward and to the outside. So then from here, press the hands together, lift up for warrior one. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through vinyasa. And from here, right leg turns out and left foot comes up behind the left hand. Now from here, left knee comes forward, left hip pulls back as you come up. Hips should be parallel to the front edge of your mat. If they're not, make an adjustment. Then low ribs, pubic bone coming together, and lift up through the heart. Watch the weight in your front foot. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back. Vinyasa. Then at the bottom of the exhale, stepping up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, tuck the chin. Then from here, bend the knees deeply. Brush the fingertips off the mat. Inhale, lift just the heart. Utkatasana or fierce. And then exhale, Samasthiti. All right, one more of those. Now, we might want to have a block handy if you're feeling really off kilter. But you might be able to do it without one. So, from here, big inhale, exhale, hands come down. Now, before we move on from here, we're going to pick up the right foot and cross it over. So we're just crossing the thighs at this point and seeing if you can balance. Now, if you can't, if you're feeling super wobbly, super unsafe, take a block and put it underneath the toes on the top foot. All right? We're not going to try and wrap. We're just going to try and stay here. Keep your butt low. Press the hands together. See if you can lift up for a variation on fierce pose. And then we'll bring the hands back down, release your legs, and come into a soft forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back, move through vinyasa. So from here, right leg turns out, left foot comes up behind the left hand, and we'll inhale, lift up for warrior one. Deep breaths, shoulders down the back, and then exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through your vinyasa. This time, left leg turns out, right foot comes up behind the right hand. Draw the right knee forward, right hip back, press and lift. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through your vinyasa. And then we'll step up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Now from here, leaving the hands down, bend the knees deeply. Pick up the left foot, cross the thigh over onto the right. Now, leaving the hips down, trying to balance. Of course, use a block underneath your hand if you need to. We'll lift up for Utkatasana or fierce. And then we'll straighten the legs, unwind your pretzel, come up for tall standing mountain, and then exhale, come back to center. All right, enough of those. So, you might want to have both blocks handy here. I'm going to pivot for Ashtanga, but just keep them underneath your hands wherever they're going to be. So we're going to pick up the right foot and either step it back or step it forward. And we're going to come into triangle pose to start. So we have heel to heel alignment here. Nice wide stance. You can of course have more horizontal space in between the feet if you would like. Just don't bring them any closer. We don't want to cross our femurs. We want to have space. So we'll take a big inhale, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to pretend like we're a little teapot, short and stout. We're going to reach the front hip straight back behind us. So we just tilt until it stops moving. And wherever that edge is, that's where our pose is for the day. We're going to grow the spine nice and long. And then you can take the front hand, release it down, rotate the shoulders open, and open up towards the sky. But if this top hand gets really heavy, pulls the torso down, just leave it alongside the body. It's just like a cherry on top for the pose. Big inhale here. Big exhale, reaching the chest as long as it'll go. And then when you're ready, we'll take the top hand, reach. It's gonna come up overhead and down to the mat in front of you. We're gonna take the back foot, step it forward into the outside, turning the toes in ever so slightly. We're gonna come into pyramid pose. So we're reaching the front hip straight back and trying to get our hips parallel to the short edge of the mat here. Now you can bring your opposite hand to the back or the same hand, doesn't matter. You bring one of your hands to the back of your pelvis. Usually we do the same hand as the extended leg to see if you can feel how flat it is and if it's even. And then we're reaching the chest as far forwards as we can get it. So we're coming into a nice pyramid pose, getting a big stretch through the IT band, the hamstring, tensor fascia lata, if you're feeling it up more closer to your hip. Now from here what we're going to do is bend the front knee pretty deeply, slowly peel the weight out of the back foot and see if you can lift up for Warrior 3. So hips are still parallel to the short edge of the mat and they're both still flat. So we're not picking up this floating hip. We're keeping it level with the ground. Take a couple big breaths here and notice all of the micro adjustments your foot makes underneath you to keep you steady. Then from here, deep bend in the standing leg and with dignity and grace, reach back behind you so you can come back into your pyramid pose. Wonderful. And then we're going to grab our blocks. Inhale, come up. Pivot the feet. We're going to keep them handy, but we're going to come into our triangle pose first. So, again, heel to heel alignment here. And we want to have lots of space in between the feet, just as much as you need, right? So, from here, hands to hips, and we're pretending somebody's giving us a big poke. Reaching the front hip straight back. Bending and straightening the front leg a little bit, just so you know you're not locking the joint. Oh, excuse me. Then when the hips don't move any further, taking the top shoulder, rotating it open, closing the distance between the pubic bone and the ribs if you can. So you'll notice there's a tendency for a back bend. You want to keep that contained. And then release the front, the front hand down. Rotate the shoulders open. If it's not too heavy, lift up. Big breaths here, all the way in, all the way out. And then from here, reach with the top hand all the way over to the top of your mat. And maybe finding your blocks. And then step the back foot forward into the outside. Turn the toes in just a little bit so we can come into our pyramid pose. So again, trying to check. You can look back even and see sometimes if your hips are out of whack. So we're trying to keep them parallel to the short edge, front hand, same hand as leg, can reach back and settle on the back of the pelvis to notice what your alignment is like, and then reach the chest forward. That is the key in this pose. With the longest spine that you can muster. All right, so from here we're slowly pouring the weight into our front leg, lifting the back leg up, coming into a warrior 3 balance. Hips are parallel to the floor. Lifting, noticing all the micro adjustments your leg is making underneath you. And then bending your standing leg deeply, reaching back with dignity and grace, coming back into your pyramid pose. And then we're going to move our blocks out of the way and come through vinyasa. So step back and find your way, moving with your breath. And then at the bottom of our exhale, we'll step up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. And exhale, Samasthiti. All right. 2 more balance poses for us. So these are going to be posture work. We're not going to tie them with a sequence. So I'm going to think about which one I want to do first. I want to do eagle first. So if you're familiar with Garudasana, that's our next pose. I like to have a block handy when I do it. We did an intro to it with our variation on Utkatasana or fierce pose earlier in our B series sequence. So I'm going to do the whole thing adding in the arms. So we're going to start by picking up our right foot first, pouring the weight into our left. So we're going to put the block on the outside edge of the left foot. So take a moment, standing here on your mat, notice how your weight is being distributed in your feet. Now, because I'm outside and my patio is made up of different squares, they're all a little different. So the one that I'm currently standing on is tipping my weight slightly forwards. So I have to be mindful of that. Now when I come into balance, I have to adjust my weight slightly back. So all of our poses are dynamic in response to our environment. So just be mindful that you might not always be someplace where your pose feels the same. You might need to make an adjustment. So from here, what we're going to do is bend both knees just a little bit. We're going to take our right foot, lift it up. Oh my goodness, cross it over. So as we continue to bend the knees, we'll have a little bit more space. Because we're coming at it from a standing pose, you might be able this time to wrap your toes behind your ankle. I'll show you. But it all depends on the shape of your body, your flexibility, your proportions. So for me today, yes, I can wrap, but I think it's going to become the focal point of my pose rather than the balance. So I never want to sacrifice form for intention, and the intention is to really pay attention to my balance. So today, I'm just going to cross, and my block is here to catch me if I start to get really wobbly, so I can put my toes down on it. See? Now, because my right leg is on top, I'm going to take my left arm and put that on top. So palms face up, elbows cross. Then we're going to flex the elbows, backs of the hands come together. If you have more space, you can take the top hand, drop it away from you, maybe intertwine the fingers so that you can press the palms together. So we're going to lift up through the elbows, drop the shoulders, sink a little bit deeper into our pose, and stay here for 5 breaths if you can muster it. And from here, we'll inhale, lift. stretch. Unwind our pretzel, reach both arms up, both legs nice and straight. And do the other side. So we can move our block over. Same thing here now. We're going to bend the legs just a little bit, taking the left foot, this time crossing it over. If you have the space, maybe you wrap the toes behind you. If I can feel it, you can even see it. It's twisting my hips, right? So I don't want to compromise the integrity of my pose just for a little fancy extra. So today, just keeping it nice and easy. Now, because left leg's on top, right arm is going to cross. So arms extended, palms face up, cross the right elbow on top of the left. Flex the elbows, backs of the hands come together. Then top hand can drop away, and maybe you can wrap the palms. But any other variation is fine. Even if you just cross the arms and grab onto the shoulders behind you, good enough, right? We're finding something that gives us some stretch. So we're lifting through the elbows, pulling the shoulders down, taking some deep breaths. If you can, we're going to take 5 deep breaths here. But you can always exit at any time. Ready? We'll unwind, extend both arms and legs, reach up, 5-point star. Excellent. Roll through the shoulders, loosen them back up again. It's a big stretch for them. Didn't notice when you were trying to keep your balance, huh? All right. So the other pose I would like to try is Yogi Big Toe Hold, extended. Nope, it is called hand to foot pose. So, traditionally, you hold onto your big toe with your first 2 fingers. I don't know that I'm really going to have the space for that today, so I'm starting out with my strap. If I surprise myself in that space, perfect. If I don't, also perfect, because I'm prepared. So, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up our right foot first. So we're standing in the middle of our mat, taking a big inhale here, big exhale. And then we're going to pick up the right foot, slowly pouring the weight into our left. And we're going to draw the knee into the chest. Now, for some of us, this may be more than enough of a challenge. You might need to hold on to something while you're here and just work with your balance that way. So, standing up nice and tall, trying not to let this hip escape to the side. So we're really pulling it in. Then we're going to drop the knee out to the side. If you can, bring the ankle a little bit closer to you. And now here is where either, with the same hand, you either grab on for your Yogi Big Toe Hold, or using your strap, wrap it around the ball of the foot, and slowly work towards extending the leg out in front of you. This is really nice because it doesn't pull the shoulder forwards. You can use the strap to lengthen your arm. So we're still standing up as tall as we can. Inhale, opening the leg out to the side. Just a little bit. You want to still be able to see it in your peripheral vision, so I only do about 45 degrees. And inhale, bring it back to center. Then we're going to release the strap and try and hold it. So count for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bring it behind you. You can grab onto the foot and come into a small quad stretch. Baby dancer. So press the foot back into your hands. We'll get a nice quad stretch. All right, other side. So our last balancing posture, make it count. So from here, slowly peeling the weight out of our right or our left leg this time, drawing it up towards the ceiling, the sky if you're outside with me. Oh, so much for that. I've been lots of wiggly balances lately. So just take your time where you are. Depending on the phases of the moon or what else is going on in your life, you might not be able to have good balance. So if that's happening to you, don't worry. You just have to laugh about it. All right, so when you're ready, we're going to drop the knee out to the side, Maybe bring the ankle a little bit closer to the face. And then we're going to wrap our strap and hold on to it with the same hand as extended leg. Ooh. We're going to work towards extending the leg out in front of us. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, that was a mistake. All right, here we are. Standing up nice and tall. See, yoga instructors have trouble with balance too sometimes. Oh my goodness. So try to stand up as high as you can, really keeping the standing leg underneath you. Wasn't kidding when I said I was wiggly today. And then inhale, come back to center. Standing up as tall as you can. And then we'll release and hold it out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if it's not already down and behind you, bring your leg back. And press your foot into your hands for a nice quad stretch. You made it. I don't know about you. I'm sweating. Then we'll release. All right. Good job. So we'll step back up to the top of our mat. Do one more A series to wipe that all away. So big inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, we come all the way down into our own lap. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa. Take your time. And then from our downward facing dog, we're going to drop to our knees and relax back into child's pose. That was a lot of work. So we want to try and start to fold our energy in and down. Shoulders draping over the knees. If you feel like it's hard to breathe here, take your knees a little bit wider. Give yourself some space. You can even shift the hips from side to side if you want a little bit of extra stretch, softness to your pose. And then from here, hands come up underneath us. We'll inhale and come up. Whew. I'm sweaty. We'll bring the legs out in front of us. And we'll come into a soft forward fold this way. So legs extended, toes pulling back. You can have your pinky toes, if you want to imagine, pinky toes are coming back towards us more than the big toes. So we're almost having this internal rotation here at the legs. You can actually see it. So what's normal for me is here. So I have patterns on my tights you can see today. When I actually flex my feet and then activate them, you can see there's a slight rolling in at the thighs. So if you would like, because we have a strap handy today, you can loop it around the pads of the feet. Inhale, sit up nice and tall, and then exhale, work a little bit closer. Strap is nice because it gives your chest something to have to pull on so that you can lift the chest and lengthen the spine. You can do it without this assist, but sometimes it's a little bit nicer to be able to give yourself the extra boost. And since we have the prop handy, why not? So you can make this as active or as soft as you would like. Long back of the neck. When you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. And I'm gonna rotate, but you don't have to. We're gonna bring the soles of the feet together. Drop the knees out to the side. So we did lots of stretching of the external rotators here. We wanna make sure we're giving engagement. We wanna make sure we're stretching them out now. So we're gonna sit up nice and tall. Exhale, come forwards. Deep, 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 deep breaths. When you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Draw the knees together on their own if you can. You're going to scoot up towards the top of the mat. Just for fun, we'll do some windshield wipers. Dropping the knees from side to side, rolling through the hips, making sure you roll all the way onto the outside edge of your upper thigh. And from here, we'll sit up nice and tall. Slowly roll down all the way onto our backs. Draw the knees in, give them a squeeze. Roll from side to side here. You can put your hands on your knees and make like you're drawing circles in one direction then the other. Then from here we'll draw the knees in, and if you'd like we can come into happy baby. So drawing the knees down to the outside edges of the torso, and if you can, either grabbing the outside edges of your calves or maybe even outside edges of the feet. And if your butt pops up, your tailbone pops up off the floor, try to bring your feet down next to your butt, and that will help lengthen the spine. So we really want to keep the whole spine down on the mat if possible. Same thing here, you can roll from side to side if that feels comfortable. And then we'll release, draw the knees in, give them a squeeze. And then from here we're going to hold on to the right knee, extend the left leg down, take a moment here, feel an opening across the left hip flexor. And then we're going to take the right knee in the left hand, draw it across the midline. Now, you have your blocks still handy. You might be interested in allowing your knee to come down onto the block. Give your spine some support. Gaze can be off the opposite shoulder if it's not uncomfortable for your neck. When you're ready, you can inhale, come back to center, drop both legs in again, give them a squeeze, and then extend down through the right this time, and draw the left leg across the midline. You might have to adjust your prop, that's okay. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. When you're ready, you can inhale, bring the leg back up to center. Give yourself a squeeze. Then it's time for Shavasana. So, as always, I'm a big fan of choose your own journey for Shavasana. Today, I think I'm going to take 2 blocks and put them on a medium height behind my knees, just so I have a little bit of flexion across the hips. But if you want to choose another variation like Viparita Karani, or legs up the wall, it's a really nice grounding pose after all of our effort and our balances. Or if you'd like to do fish or some other variation of Shavasana that you really love, feel free to do that. So then from here, we'll move into our pose, whatever that happens to be. And take a moment and bring your attention to all the places where your body is in contact with your mat, the floor, the earth, whatever happens to be underneath you. Notice how with the movement of the breath, your body presses into your mat and then releases back. Constant movement, constant undulation of the breath. Allowing your weight to sink down through your major joints, the heels, your hips, elbows, shoulders, back of the head. Allowing your mat to support you as you relax deeper into your pose. If your mind wanders off, just bring it back to this moment, this place. And remember, you are always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, start to find some small movements in fingers and toes. Wrist or ankle circles. A roll of the head. Stretch of the arms, whatever helps you feel at home in your body. And whenever you feel ready, you can slowly roll off to one side, taking your time. There's no rush. And then work your way back up to seated. So thank you very much for practicing with me today. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. So be nice to yourself for the rest of the day. This was a lot of work. As always, thank you. Take care. Namaste.